What's going on, man? It's your big brother K-Rino. Sorry I'm a couple of minutes late, but we're gonna get right into it, man. Y'all can tell by the title what we on right now. Houston, Texas is pretty cold right now. And I want to kind of touch on some different scenarios, some different reasons why we may be dealing what we dealing with. I have my view, but also things that are man instituted situations that are results of the weather being like it is. Y'all come on in and be sure to hit the like button as you come into the chat. Hit that like button as you come into the chat, man. And I welcome everybody that's coming in. Welcome all y'all that's coming in. Hit the like button. Hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it. I need you to hit it. I need you to hit it. I already see people chiming in, talking about harp and all that. We're gonna get into all that. We're gonna get into all that, man. We're gonna touch on all that. Um, but I want to make people understand, and some of y'all are all different parts of the world. Of course, if you're in different parts of the world that are used to getting severe weather, then of course this is nothing to y'all. It's nothing extraordinary to y'all because this is the norm around this time of year for some of y'all that are sitting under inches of snow right now. But even in some of those regions, y'all are getting unusual amounts of snow. And for the past few years, or even this particular winter, it's been some unprecedented weather patterns taking place. And again, we're gonna touch on all that. But me living down here in Houston, me living down here in Texas, um, we are seeing record cold happening down here. We're seeing temperatures that have not been witnessed in our lifetime. And some people are saying, "Well, man, that's nothing. You know, it's 12 below where I'm at, or if it's a soup." But the difference is that we are in a region that's not accustomed to this, so people are reacting to it different. And as y'all come in, please hit the like button. Please hit the like button. A lot of people in Houston, I would say the last report I got was probably 2 to 3 million people are without power right now. Um, and I'm not sure if that's in Houston. Somebody fact check that for me, but it may just be in Texas. But I did hear that it was that many in Houston. I'm not sure, but I do know of a lot of people, a lot of my friends that are without power, that have been without power for like the last 2 days or so. And you have to imagine being in super cold temperatures, and they're doing what they call these rolling blackouts. These rolling blackouts where they are picking certain areas to shut the power down in an attempt to balance out the power usage. You know, there's a supply and a demand, and people tend to use more power when it's super hot or when it's super cold. So, according to their definition, in order to kind of level that off, they got to shut certain areas down. They got to shut the power down in certain areas. Now, they never give you a warning. They never give you any specifics of saying which areas it will be or how long it will be. They just do it. So people are out here just literally just in limbo for hours and hours if they're lucky. But for days, people on social media saying, "Man, I still don't have any power. I'm still, people are getting in their cars to get warm and things of that nature. Or people are having to go and leave their own homes to go to other people's house, to friends and relatives' houses, and that's a pretty strong situation. Now, there have been some speculations about how they make these selections about where they're going to do these blackouts in terms of like, business districts and things like that somehow still have power and all that. But, I don't know the science behind that. But if you are someone that's without power, man, I'm praying for you, wishing y'all the best, praying for y'all the best, that it be restored as soon as possible. And those of us who are blessed to have power, don't take it for granted. Be grateful. And if there are people that need to come and get with you, let them come get with you. Family and friends that need to come and get, because we all know, man, when it's cold. Look. I walked outside and did a video earlier today that some of y'all saw, and in 3 or 4 minutes, my hands were numb. So to sit inside of a vehicle, or to just be outside, or just to sit inside of a house, an apartment that's cold, it doesn't matter how many layers you put on, you're gonna feel the impact of that cold. Next level, I appreciate that. Next level says 4.2 million people without electricity in the state of Texas. That's a lot of people, man. That's a lot of people. That's the population of some nations. 4.2 million people without electricity. So people are calling in and trying to find out what's going on. There are people who have elderly people in their homes. There are people who have babies in their homes. And just, you could be just in the best of health and condition. When you cold, man, you cold. And that's a tough pill to swallow. They don't really give you any indication of when you're going to have your stuff back on. They kind of just leave everybody in limbo. And this is what it reminded me of, and what this is what made me want to do this video. It reminded me of how fragile our norm is, how easy it is for our normal life patterns to be just not totally off track. Nobody saw this last week. Nobody anticipated this last week. And we live in a region here in Houston where we are used to extreme heat. And in the summer months, we are used to hurricane season. We're used to storms developing out in the ocean and taking that same path through the Atlantic into the Gulf of Mexico in times, or sometimes it's up the coast. And we're used to hurricanes. But the funny part about it, even when we know the region we live in and we're used to hurricanes coming, and sometimes they hit, sometimes they don't, they hit in different spots. Year after year, we still are never prepared for the most part. Year after year, you see the grocery stores lit up, lines and lines and lines, people trying to load up at the last minute to obtain things that they need, just in case they got to just shelter in for a few days. And we see this happen every year, even in regions where we know what's coming. And I'm sure wherever y'all live, y'all see the same thing. I'm sure y'all see the same thing if you live in a snow region or whatever. We see the same thing. So the question is, why don't we take preparation for natural disasters? Why don't we take preparation more seriously? Why don't we focus more on that, so that when these situations come like this, and this one is more of a, even though you can see the weather forecast, they can tell you what's coming a few days, but this one is more something that we're not used to out here, that we didn't really see coming. If it's an unexpected occurrence, if we are more prepared and have supplies and things in our homes, or whatever the case might be, we wouldn't have to move an inch. We wouldn't have to try to get in the long lines, or try to hope that the gas station still got some gas, or try to hope that all the bread ain't gone, or when COVID hit, hope that all the toilet paper ain't gone. Everybody was going to get some toilet paper back in the day. Not back in the day, last year. But what has to happen for us to start getting in a mindset that we are prepared for these things, and prepared for those things that are known and the unknown, the things that are not predicted, the things that we don't expect. The saying goes, expect the unexpected. People always say, expect the unexpected. But you can't stop at expecting the unexpected. You have to prepare for the unexpected. So when you go to the store, what do you see? You see gutted out shelves. You see long lines. You see tension and animosity among people because people are now in survival mode. And look how fast, look how quick it takes for us to end up in a situation where we are in survival mode. That's how fragile this thing is. 1 week, everybody can just be doing everything they've been doing, just hanging out, doing whatever it is you do. The next week, the whole region, the whole city, the whole whatever country is in a survival mode, panic. It's because we're not prepared. We're not prepared mentally or physically, or more importantly, we're not prepared spiritually. We have not heeded the words of those who came and told us that these things were going to come. We haven't taken the words that's in the scripture seriously to say, well, you know what, there's going to be pestilence and famine and all these different things that were written far in advance. Speaking of things far in advance. So we just coast along. And we utilize our resources, our finances or whatever, we utilize those resources on the things that are satisfying to us from a habitual standpoint. So we make sure we got our drugs, we make sure we got our alcohol, or whatever other vices, we make sure we got our cigarettes, our snacks, whatever. I mean, whatever it is. I ain't shooting at nobody whose vices I named. Just can't remember all the vices right now. But at the end of the day, preparation is the key. We have to prepare for things because here we are in Houston, Texas, jammed up, not from a hurricane, not from a tropical storm. We are jammed up in Houston, Texas by cold snap, snow, record low temperatures, blackouts. See? Nobody saw that in Houston. Nobody saw that coming in Houston. What's that telling? What is that telling us? That's telling us that it can hit anywhere. We can't just assume that, oh, well, that don't happen to us. We don't live in that region. And like I say, if this same scenario had hit, if this same weather condition were taken out of Houston and moved somewhere in the Midwest or moved somewhere on the East Coast, they wouldn't think twice about it because it's not that major up there because they're set up to deal with it. It wouldn't be anything. It would be business as usual out there, but we're not set up for that out here. We're not set up for that. So now it's a panic. And everybody, and it's not necessarily a full-on panic. It's just the fact that a lot of people are inconvenienced right now and people are trying to ride it out. But now it's been 2 or 3 days for some people with no electricity. People going and getting hotel rooms and all that. So if you got to actually spend money now, this is now costing people from a financial standpoint where it's like, I got to go get a room for a couple of days that I'm not going to be reimbursed for. So it's costing you money because we don't have generators. We don't have generators. And you know when we try to get a generator? When the calamity hits. See, we see it in the summertime during hurricane season. A lot of time the hurricane hits and powers out in certain areas. Now everybody tries to run to the store and get a generator. Where we should have bought generators out of season. And now a generator gonna cost $5 million if they have one. Some of us don't have space heaters in the house. And to my knowledge, there's space heaters that don't require plugging in and things of that nature. So we have to have backup emergency equipment for all scenarios. Obviously now we need to have it for cold, even in Houston. Because guess what? I just told you we're not designed for that down here. We're in a warm region. So now we're seeing scenarios where people's pipes are busting. And right when I said that, I see right when I said that, Brina Aquafina, I read your post. You say people have damage from pipes busting. People's pipes are busting because we're not set up like that. We don't see that kind of cold coming through Houston. So if your pipes burst, that's another inconvenience that you have to deal with, not just after the fact. You got to deal with that in the midst of everything. See? And some people, before the pipes busted, the water wouldn't pop in no way. Some people don't have water. So if you don't have water put up, if you haven't stored any water or prepared for it to say, well, we're going to run a tub full of water and have just so you can flush your toilet, things like that, you don't want to get caught. We don't want to get caught with our drawers around our ankles. See? So people are saying, well, man, look, that's the government controlling the weather and this and that and this and that. And people are going to have their opinions on that. I got to comment on some Next Level just said, because I think he just brought up a good point. He put Jordans over generators. And it's not to beat nobody up, but I will say this. In times where we are doing pretty good financially, speaking to everybody, if you're doing all right throughout the year, in a moment where you're doing all right financially, let's take those moments to not go out and say, I'm gonna get an extra pair of tennis shoes. What I'll do, I'm gonna take this moment now while everything is cool, and I'm gonna go buy a generator. I'm gonna buy it out of season where it doesn't cost as much, but I'm gonna have it. It may sit up forever, it may sit up for months, but I'm gonna have it. Let's take this time where I got a little extra change. I hit this lick, I got a little extra change. Let's go get some things that we can store in the home just in case something unexpected comes out of left field, and now my drawers is around my ankles because I wasn't prepared. See? So people are saying, oh, it's the government doing this, it's the government doing that. I don't discount the government's ability to experiment and tamper with weather. They have, in my opinion, they have small degrees of that kind of ability. And notice I said small degrees of that ability. They're scientists. They've done some scientific research, some meteorologist research, and they kind of know how to manipulate certain things through chemtrails and whatever. But in the big picture, in the grand scheme, I credit extreme weather patterns to the Most High. I give the credit to where it's due. The weather is God's weapon. Man can try to tamper with it as much as they want to, but the weather is God's weapon. He uses the weather to beat down corrupt nations. And if you know a nation that's more corrupt than America, I'd like you to list it. So we can give HARP credit all we want, but everything ain't HARP. And I don't view this to be HARP either. I think a lot of us don't like to fess up to give the Most High credit for what's going on. We attribute everything to government. We contribute everything to the science of man. And we ignore God's hand that's in everything. His hand is in everything. He causes things to happen and he allows things to happen. That's just how it goes down. So people are scrambling. People are all over the place. And again, like I said, people don't have sufficient amounts of food in their house. The best way to understand that is when something like this happens, if you got your stuff together, whether you do, if you don't, you're going to be there anyway. But just swing by the grocery store. Just pass by the grocery store. If you don't have to go in, just pass by. And look at the parking lot. The parking lot look like a concert. You think Michael Jackson was back. Michael Jackson is back. And he's performing live at HEB. That's how the parking lot look. Michael Jackson live at HEB, bro. And that's how the parking lot look. Then if you go in and you see everybody scrambling, loading up baskets of stuff, loading up baskets and baskets of things, man. The lines in the grocery stores are literally into the aisles of the stores. Why? Because we're not prepared. Most people don't have a week's worth of extra food in their homes. 2 weeks is really, really pushing it. That's why it's the scramble. Because if people had that, people was loaded up and stocked up, whatever happens, that person gonna sit in place. They're gonna be like, I can sit down, I'm good. I can sit down. How long can you sit down without having to go to the store? 3 days, 2 days, a week? A week, if you're a bad man in this day and age, if you go a week, if you can sit down for a week without having to go to the store for nothing, I salute you. I salute you. But what if you had to sit down? Somebody said, well, man, you know what? I'm good. I got 3 weeks worth. I'm good. What if you had to sit down for a month, 2 months, 3 months? We don't know what's coming. But there will be a time where we will have to sit for a month, 2 months, 3 months, whether you like it or not. But will you be able to sustain that long? So you see all these stores just packed and loaded with people scrambling, because I don't care, rich, poor, or in between, the average person does not have enough supplies in their house. That's just the reality of it. Tell me I'm lying. And if you do, you one of the doomsday preppers. You one of the ones. You among the wise ones, the smart ones. See? So this weather we've seen in Houston, it should be another wake-up call. And I say another wake-up call because we just had Harvey a few short years back, and Harvey tore the whole city up. Harvey came through and fixed everybody's business, right? And we still let time pass and we relax and we fall off and we're not prepared. Not prepared. And this is just not going on in Houston. Brother just said 4.2 million in Texas total. 4.2 million in Texas total, man. So if you have electricity, man, you should be thanking God. You should be extremely grateful right now. If you haven't missed a beat with your power, you should be extremely grateful right now. See? 40 to 50% in San Antonio without electricity and all highways closed. 3 to 5 inches of snow and ice. People tripping at the store. See? Because if an unprecedented event happens, people go into panic mode. Because the first thing you start thinking about your own survival, your own family, your family's safety and survival. And all of a sudden you'll kill somebody over the last loaf of bread. You'll be ready to fight and kill over the last case of water. See? We got to tighten up. Mike Cullen said, water, rice, beans, generator. Most important is food. One can stay warm by gathering pallets and setting a fire outside, build a shelter. See, that's another thing too. We got to get our survival skills up to par. Just basic survival skills. A time may come where you may have to actually just leave your home. Might not be able to stay at home. Home might be secure, but it might be things going on. You got to move on. Survival skills. Not even knowing how to start a fire. See? And I promise I ain't talking to y'all like I know all this stuff. I'm saying we. So we got to use this moment because according to the weather forecast, by the weekend or early next week, we'll be right back in the 70s again. But what's going to happen when the temperature goes back to the 70s and we're going to fall right back asleep? Will we use that moment? Will we use this moment to say, you know what? Yes, back in the 70s again, the things are back to normal again, but I ain't going to get caught next time with my what? With my drawers around my ankles. I'm not going to get caught like that this next time. The time to prepare for the hard times is during the good times. We can't wait till the calamity is in full swing to try to get prepared for it. You don't do that. You prepare for the hard times during the good times. How do nations operate? Do nations wait until a war breaks out before they start trying to accumulate and get weapons together and put their army together? We got to call and get people to join the army. Do you wait until the war starts to do that? They already have that in place. They have the bodies in place. They have the weapons in place. They have the strategies in place. They have all those things already in place. A war might not pop off for 10, 15 years. But if it do, they ready. That's how we got to think. We got to be in war mode. How are the animals wiser than us? How do the squirrels operate? When do the squirrels gather food for this time, for these times? The squirrels are somewhere chilling with plenty of food stored that they had been accumulating all summer long. So you don't see the squirrels scrambling around when it's 2 below, trying to find something to eat and trying to get themselves situated. They already situated. Now this is a squirrel whose head ain't bigger than my fist, which means his brain is smaller than that. Yet they have more common sense and general intelligence than we do. Think about that for a minute. Mind frame says, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. See, and that's beautiful. We say that all the time. We throw that out as slang in the street. Man, I stay ready so I don't have to get ready. But what are we staying ready for? Staying ready just in case you got to fight somebody in the street? Staying ready in case somebody try to jack you for your rims? How about staying ready or getting ready for things that we will have no control over once they are imposed upon us by God himself. Shout out to Next Level for the donation. I appreciate you. Appreciate your Next Level. Happy shout out to the homie Smart Money too. I missed you, man. Smart Money, thank you for the donation, man. Next Level said, prepare. Store food in 90-day intervals. At the end of 90 days, eat what you stored and restock. Make disaster preparation a habit. Stephen Schaff, appreciate your donation, Stephen. Stephen said, don't be afraid, be prepared, and stay aware. Being afraid or not being afraid comes from your preparation. Those who are prepared are not afraid. But the ones who didn't prepare is panic. Because think about the necessities that we operate on and live off of every day. And visualize how we feel. You ever been hungry? Think about how you feel when you're hungry and you don't really know how you're gonna get some food. That's that's cause to panic. Some people are like, wait a minute, I don't know how. See, if you just generally at home and you hungry, you can say, you know what, I'm gonna get up in 10 minutes and go in the kitchen, and you comfortable, you cool, you relax. But if it's nothing in there to go get, nothing in there to go make, it's a panic. See? If the light company contacts you and says, we're working on the system, we're working on the lights in your neighbor, in your area, we're going to inconvenience you and the power is going to be off for about 2 hours, but in 2 hours it's going to come back on. You're not going to panic. You're going to say, oh, okay, yeah, all right, well, they let me know, you know what it is. But if the power goes off with no warning in 2 hours, 5 hours, 8 hours, a day, that could eventually lead to panic because you have lost control. You don't panic over what you have control over. You panic over what you don't have control over. See? So you cold and you can't get warm. There's nothing you can do because you don't have the resources to warm yourself up. Now you got to drive in the ice on the icy road. When they said stay off the road, you got to leave your house and try to get somewhere warm. Panic. Let's go get something to eat. Wait a minute. All of the food places are closed. Can't get nothing to eat. Panic. So you gotta load up in the easy times. Load up. Stock up. Y'all hit the like button, man. It's going down in Houston, Texas, man. We rarely see snow out here, and it wasn't just massive snow, but it's snow. Let me see what y'all talking about over here. To my right, Kane says people, hold on, let me go back, Kane. Kane says people are this planet's virus. Eventually this planet gonna get rid of this virus, us. Without people, this planet would thrive. Well, I don't 100% agree with that. I know that we have been a virus to the planet, but as long as there is a planet, there's gonna be people on it. Now, what will happen is that God will remove the wrong kind of people and replace them with his kind of people. That will happen, but there'll never be a time where the planet would just be one deep, because the planet was created to house people. This is the habitat of the people. But I do agree that we have to be more respectful of how we treat the planet, but we got to be respectful of how we treat each other. See? Because the planet is not the greatest creation. The people are the greatest creation of God. He wants us to treat each other better, more so than, if we treat each other better, if we get that in line, then everything else will fall in line, including how we treat the planet. See? Susie LaLuna says we're getting too soft with cell phones. I remember traveling and memorizing directions. Yeah, and that's another good point too, because it's another aspect of the panic. When you can't charge your phone, you ever seen somebody that couldn't charge their phone? Phone about to go out, or phone was out. Phone is like crack, man. So people are scrambling just to get somewhere where they can charge their phone up. See? So what are we going to do, man? What are we going to do? How are you going to be with your neighbor if you in good shape but your neighbor ain't in good shape? And I know what y'all thinking. Oh, that's why I got my gun. That's why. Can't shoot everybody. Can't stop everybody. This shows our true vulnerability, man. This shows how vulnerable and fragile we are, man. We talk about being bosses. We talk about being pimps. All the things we talk about. But a lot of the same bosses and pimps are sitting around here in houses with no power. And that's something that was not in their control. So I'll never fault a person for something that's not in their control. But if you're sitting around with no supplies, then that's something that is in your control. See? That's something that is in our control. Hit the like button, man. Y'all hit the like button if you haven't already. If it's your first time ever coming on one of my lives, man, just give me a peace sign or put a hand in the air real quick, man. I definitely want to shout y'all out. We got a nice amount of people on here now. I definitely want to give y'all some shout outs for y'all's location. Tell me what y'all location is, where you at, and I will give y'all cities and states some shout outs, man, just to show you some love. And also to kind of just get a gauge, because I know if it's like this in Houston, I know other